what if you looked at your bank balance next year and saw a noticeably bigger Social Security deposit hitting each month?
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about the real possibility of hundreds, maybe even thousands of extra dollars in your account over the year.
Right.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into the projected Social Security Cost of Living Adjustment. That's the CLA for 2025. And, the early numbers, they suggest it could be a pretty welcome boost to your monthly income.
Exactly. And our focus today is really sharp. Understanding these current projections for the 2025 COA and, importantly, translating those percentages into, well, actual financial benefits for you.
Okay.
We're basing this on the latest inflation data we have, specifically the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers. That's the CPIW. It's the key, really.
Right, the CPIW, that's the metric they use.
That's the one that determines how Social Security payments adjust for the cost of living.
Okay, so let's get right into it then. What's the number looking like right now?
So the current projection, as of now, for the 2025 Social Security benefit increase is sitting at 2.7%.
2.7%.
No.
It's really vital we emphasize, right? This is a projection.
Absolutely crucial. It's based on the CPIW data we have so far, mainly February's report.
In February. Yeah.
The official figure, the one that actually changes your payments, that won't be decided until we get the inflation data from July, August, and September of this year.
So still a few months out before it's locked in.
Exactly. But what's particularly interesting is the way these projections have been moving.
Oh, how so?
Well, we started with an initial estimate that was around maybe 2.1%.
Yeah.
Then it kind of edged up to 2.3%.
Okay.
And now, like we said, we're at 2.7%.
It's a steady climb.
A consistent upward trend, yeah. And that suggests there's a real possibility the final COLA could actually land higher than 2.7%.
What might push it higher?
Well, factors like potential tariffs, for instance, they can increase the cost of imported goods, feed into inflation.
Right, pushes the CPIW up.
Precisely. Which could push that final COLA adjustment potentially into the, let's say, mid to upper 3% range, maybe even nudging towards 4%.
Wow, 4% would be a noticeable jump compared to 2.7.
It would. And I mean, just hypothetically, if the rate of increase we've seen in the projections so far continued on that same path, well, you could even imagine a scenario reaching something like 4.3%. But again, that's just projecting the trend.
Okay, so lots of potential, but for now, let's work with that solid 2.7% projection. To really get a handle on what that means for people's wallets, let's break down some actual dollar amounts.
Yeah, let's do that. It makes it much more concrete.
Okay, starting at the lower end. Say you're currently receiving a $400 monthly benefit. How does a 2.7% increase affect that?
All right, for a $400 benefit, a 2.7% increase works out to an extra $10.80 each month.
$10.80 more per month.
Right, so your new projected monthly benefit would be $410.80.
And over a full year.
Over the course of a year, that adds up to an additional $129.60 in your pocket.
Okay, maybe not life-changing, but like you said, every bit counts. That extra bit could help with, maybe a small copay or part of a utility bill.
Exactly. Every dollar matters. Now, moving up a bit, if your current monthly benefit is $500.
Okay, $500.
A 2.7% COLA would mean an increase of $13.50 per month. That takes your new projected benefit to $513.50.
And the annual extra?
Annually, that's an extra $162.
Right. And for someone getting $600 a month?
For $600, the increase would be $16.20 monthly.
Okay.
Resulting in a new monthly total of $616.20, and that's an additional $194.40 to a year. That extra $16 a month, again, could certainly make a bit of a difference managing those day-to-day expenses.
Right. Let's keep going. What about a $700 monthly benefit?
At $700, the 2.7% increase adds $18.90 to your monthly payment.
Bringing it to $718.09.
Exactly. And that's $226.80 more over the year.
Okay. How about $800?
If your current benefit is $800, you'd see an increase of $21.60 per month. Your new projected benefit, $821.60.
And annually?
An extra $259.20 annually.
Let's do $900.
For those receiving $900 now, the increase would be $24.30 each month.
Okay.
Resulting in a new monthly benefit of $924.30. And that's an additional $291.60 per year.
Yeah.
That extra $24 or so might help cover BAS or bus fare, perhaps.
Yeah, transportation costs add up. Okay, let's hit that $1,000 mark.
All right, if your current Social Security benefit is $1,000 per month, that 2.7% COLA means an extra $27 each month.
$27 more. So the new total is $1,027.
$1,027 projected monthly benefit, correct? And over the year, that's an additional $324.
Okay. What about $1,100?
For a benefit of $1,100, the increase is $29.70 per month,
Okay.
resulting in a new monthly payment of $11,120.70. And that gives you an extra $356.40 annually.
And $1,200.
If you're currently receiving $1,200 a month, you could see an increase of $32.40.
$32.40.
Yep, taking your new projected benefit to $1,232.40. And that provides an additional $388.80 over the whole year. You know, that extra $32 a month could offer just a little more flexibility in the budget.
Definitely. Let's keep climbing. $1,500.
At $1,300 monthly, a 2.7% COLA means an extra $35.10 per month.
Bringing the new projected total to $1,335.10.
Correct. And that adds $421.20 to your annual income.
Okay, and $1,400.
If your current benefit is $1,400, the increase would be $37.80 per month.
$37.80, leading to
A new monthly payment of $4,437.80, and that's an extra $453.60 per year.
all right, and $1,500. That's a common benchmark for some folks.
For those receiving $1,500 a month now, you could see an increase of $40.50.
40-50.
Taking your new projected benefit to $1,540.50, and that provides an additional $486 over the year. The 2.7 per COLA means an extra $43.20 each month,
Okay,
bringing your new projected monthly benefit to $1,643.20, and that adds up to $518.40 extra for the year.
and $1,700.
For a benefit of $1,700, the increase would be $45.90 per month,
$45.90.
resulting in a new monthly payment of $1,745.90 and an extra $550.80 annually.
Okay, what about $1,800?
If you're currently receiving $1,800 a month, you could see an increase of $48.60.
Almost $50 more a month.
Getting close, yeah. Taking your new projected benefit to $1,848.60 and providing an additional $583 over the year. That extra, almost $50, could offer a bit more, security in the monthly finances.
Makes sense. Now let's look at $1,900 a month.
At $1,900, a 2.7% increase adds $51.30 to your monthly payment.
Okay, over $50 now, bringing it to $1,951.30.
$1,951.30 is right, and that's $615.60 more over the year.
Okay, and now for $2,000 a month, which you mentioned is near the average.
Yeah, just under $2,000 is the average, so this is a good example. A 2.7% COLA on $2,000 means an extra $54 each month,
$54.
resulting in a new projected benefit of $2,054, and that's an additional $648 per year.
Right, that extra $54. I mean, depending on where you live, that could potentially cover maybe a small utility bill or a significant portion of one.
Could be, yeah, definitely helpful.
Okay, let's keep going into the higher benefit levels.
Right.
$2,100.
All right, current monthly benefit, $2,100. A 2.7% increase means an extra $56.70 per month,
$56.70.
bringing your new projected benefit to $2,156.70. And the annual increase there is $680.40.
And $2,200.
For a $2,200 benefit, the increase would be $59.40 each month.
Almost $60.
Getting there. Resulting in a new monthly payment of $2,250.40 and an extra $712.80 per year.
Okay, and $2,300.
If you're currently receiving $2,300 a month, you could see an increase of $62.10, and taking your new projected benefit to $2,362.10 and providing an additional $745 or prescriptions.
Good point. Let's continue. $2,400 a month.
At $2,400, the 2.7% COLA means an extra $64.80 each month,
$64.80.
bringing your new projected monthly benefit to $2,464.80, and that adds $767.60 to your annual income.
And $2,500.
For a benefit of $2,500, the increase would be $67.50 per month,
Okay.
resulting in a new monthly payment of $2,567.50 and an extra $810 annually.
Getting close to $1,000 extra dollars a year there, and $2,600.
For those receiving $2,600 a month, you could see an increase of $70.20.
$70.20.
Taking your new projected benefit to $2,670.20 and providing an additional $842.40 over the year, that extra $70 could maybe help with some home maintenance or unexpected repairs, perhaps.
Now, those things always seem to pop up. Okay, let's finish this range. $2,700 up to $3,000.
All right. For $2,700 monthly benefit, you could see an increase of $72.90,
$72.90.
bringing the new benefit to $2,032.90, and that's an extra $874.80 annually.
Okay, $2,800.
For $2,800, that's an extra $75 extra a year now. and $2,900.
We're looking at an extra $75.20 per year.
Over $900 extra a year now, and $2,900.
We're looking at an extra $78.30 per year.
Okay, and finally, the $3,000 mark in this breakdown.
Right. If your current benefit is $3,000, that 2.7% increase would be $81 more each month.
81, bringing the new projected monthly benefit to $3,081, and that's an extra $972 over the year.
Almost $1,000 extra per year at that level. That extra $81 a month, I mean, that could provide a pretty significant boost to a monthly budget.
Absolutely. It adds up.
So as we've just gone through in quite a bit of detail, the current projections point to a potential increase across the board for Social Security benefits. And the fact that these projections have been, ticking upwards, that's certainly encouraging, isn't it?
It is. It suggests the possibility of, well, more money in your pocket come 2025 than maybe we thought a few months ago. The trajectory is looking pretty good right now, looking better.
Yeah, trending higher seems to be the key phrase.
Right. But we have to keep mentioning.
It's still a projection.
It's still a projection. These numbers are based on the best data we have now. The final official COLA adjustment really hinges on those critical inflation figures from the third quarter, July, August, September.
Got it. So we wait for those summer numbers.
We do. However, understanding these potential increases now, like we've broken down, it allows you to start thinking about the possible impact on your financial planning for next year.
That's a good point. Even if the number shifts slightly up or down,
Yeah.
having this 2.7% baseline gives you something to consider.
Exactly. And, there is also the context to consider. While any increase is helpful, and we hear that, every single dollar, realistically, every single penny counts right now, there's also the counterpoint that even these projected increases might feel, insufficient for some, given how much the costs of essentials have been rising.
Right. You hear about the substantial rise in costs for things like food, electricity, utilities, housing, shelter, medical care. It feels like everything is going up.
It does. The source material we looked at even mentioned a specific example, like egg prices reportedly jumping significantly in just a single month recently.
Wow. Yeah, that illustrates the point about how quickly costs can rise.
So it's just important to acknowledge that perspective, too, that while the CLA aims to help, it might not always feel like it fully keeps pace with everyone's individual cost increases. We're just reporting what the sources say on that.
Right, presenting that context neutrally. Okay, so wrapping things up for today's deep dive, the key takeaways seem to be the current projection is 2.7%.
But it's been trending upward from around 2.1% initially, so the final number could potentially be higher, maybe in the 3% range or even nudging 4%.
And we walked through what that 2.7% could mean in actual dollars and cents for various benefit levels, from an extra $10 a month at the low end to over $80 a month at the higher end we discussed.
Exactly. Real potential dollar increases to factor into your thinking.
And just to hammer home one last time, this is a projection. The official 2025 COLA number will be announced later this year based on that third quarter inflation data.
That's the key date to watch for.
Definitely. So as you look towards 2025, maybe start considering what these potential extra dollars each month, whatever the final amount turns out to be, could mean for your situation.
Yeah, whether it provides a little more breathing room, helps offset some of those rising costs we mentioned, or just offers a bit more financial security.
Right. It's certainly something worth thinking about and keeping an eye on as we get closer to that official announcement. Something to mull over as you plan ahead.